Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Manabharatiyam channel. We were in the last episode, we were reading about a particular selections from one particular book called the Sultana's Dream, a Feminist Utopia. This book is actually written by Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain, and then it is translated by Roshan Jahan. So what happened this we are getting into the second episode called The Secluded Ones, the Parda observed by Roshan Jahan. It says, I remember my introduction to the secluded ones clearly like a vivid dream. I was playing with my younger sister while my mother was reading to her own sister. They seemed to be very absorbed in this book. I started to listen and presently found that the story was about a woman who wore something called a burqa, a kind of clothing I never heard of, and who fell on the railway track. With mounting horror and disbelief, I learned that her maid would not let anyone help her up, and finally she was run over by a train. So sad. My child's mind reared on the stories of miraculous rescues of persons in danger by heroes, dashing in the nick of time and found grim ending totally unacceptable. How could the stupid maid let the poor woman die like that? Why did the fools not do something to lift her up? I burst forth, no longer able to contain my anger, which swiftly followed the first shock of horror. My mother, considerably startled, began to say something, but my sister, perceiving herself neglected, started crying. In the ensuing confusion, my queries got lost. Soon the natural resilience of a child's mind prevailed and the gruesome story was put aside, apparently forgotten. Years later, when I read the story, the same thrill of horror and anger swept me. But this time pity was mingled in. Now I was a child no longer. While I never worn a burqa, I had seen people wearing them. I knew much about the parda, the various ways of observing parda, the need to maintain parda. In short, all the things that a young woman growing up in Bangladesh, at the time it was called East Pakistan, needed to familiarize herself. Though the severity of the Parda practices experienced by Rukia and her contemporaries can only be imagined by someone like me, who is removed in time, the emotions that compelled her to write about the experiences are bound to affect the present day readers very strongly. One is even thankful that though Rokia herself described seclusion as a silent killer like carbon monoxide gas, she did not consent to rot in the seclusion like in silence. Like Dylan Thomas, who urged to die parent to a rage against the dying of the light, Rokia urged her sisters to rage and come out of the darkness. Secluded ones, Avarod Bhasini in Bengali, a collection of 47 anecdotes documenting Parda customs, Muslim and Hindu, all over the North India, was first serialized in 1929 in the well-known Bengali periodical The Monthly Muhammadi, and later collected and published as a book. It was the first book of its kind to be written by Bangla by a Bengali Muslim woman. There had been quite a books and articles written in Bangla depicting life in the Zanana, that is, women's secluded quarters, in India. Recently, scholarship has located some writings by Bengali Hindu women themselves describing the suffocating conditions of their life. But most of these are autobiographical in nature, journals, diaries, letters, memoirs, and their tone is intensely personal. Authors like Rabindranath Tagore (1861 to 1941) and Sharat Chandra Chatterjee (1876 to 1938) had written about life in the Janana in many of their novels and short stories, and even their scenes reflect greater sensibility, keen observation, and even sympathy for women, but they are fragmentary and incidental to the plot. వచ్చినట్టున్నారు. Let us see who has come. Oh, Shiksharthi has come. Hi, Shiksharthi, how are you?
Hello, sir. I'm fine, sir. How are you doing, sir?
Absolutely fine, Shiksharthi. You are saying
Yes, sir.
that you want to join, but you never joined.
Sir?
Okay. You said you will join. You were late, actually. That's what I was saying.
Yes, sir. I was closing all the things to come back to come back here.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Would you like to read this book?
Yeah, sure, sir. You please continue, and I will
Yeah,
catch up where you leave, sir.
yeah. I am in page number 33. If you can open it, I'll continue
Yeah,
on
I'm
what.
looking at it, sir. The very
Yeah,
para.
yeah.
Rabindranath Tagore,
Yes,
Sharat
yes,
Chandra Bose. Correct.
yes, exactly. The
Yeah.
secluded ones, on the other hand, is a strictly non-fiction reportage. Its purpose is to present authentic incidents highlighting the absurdity of the extreme seclusion imposed on the women of North India, particularly the Bengali Muslim women. The reports from the secluded ones reprinted here expose the excesses of seclusion, presented sometimes with humor, sometimes with pain. They not only present the Parda customs then prevalent, they also show the attitude of the men and women of the Parda observing families. The attitude of non Parda observing persons toward Parda is also made clear. Above all, the attitude of Rokia herself runs as a leitmotif motive through those selections and throughout the entire book. Rokia did not pretend to be impartial. She selected the incidents that expose the ridiculous, the absurd, the horrible, and the tragic aspects of the Parda observance. It is important to consider the historical context while reading those reports. They cannot be used to describe present reality. The fact that Parda and the status were closely connected is demonstrated by the fact that the maids in Parda observing families were allowed a much greater mobility and visibility than their mistresses. The rules were flexible and could be bent to suit the needs of the elite. That the degree of Parda observance on their own women depended on the Parda lessness of another class of women and did not seem to be paradoxical to the elites. Both Muslim and Hindu of the time, the significance of this paradox seems to have eluded the notice of Rukia also. In this, she was a child of her time and class. The real value of the secluded ones lies in the fact that it shows that in spite of everything, not all women submitted to the parda willingly or gladly. Many resisted trying to assert their individuality. They even resented to the fact that they had no control over their fates or lives. The rejection of strict seclusion by Rokia herself shows that no matter how strict, seclusion could always seclusion could not always smother a woman's quest for development and fulfillment. Super. In this, it is in revealing that this, sorry, it is, sorry, it is in revealing this that the secluded ones differs from other accounts of Indian general life, particularly those written by foreign women, mostly British and American, who visited India in the late 19th and 20th centuries. Some foreigners like Mary Frances Billington were honest to the detail, but they viewed of the Janana life from a distance. Their glimpses were necessarily brief and cursory. Even an Englishwoman who married an Indian Muslim, Mrs. Mir Hassan Ali, did not fully perceive that the conflict women in Parda might feel. Even though she lived for many years as a member of the Indian household and made many visits to women in their zananas, she felt that they were quite resigned to the restrictions of the Parda. Rokia accounts were fuller. Catherine Mayer's reaction to the Parda, while indignant as Rokia's, was again quite limited. Her prejudices were too strong, her pro British and anti Indian political views were too pronounced. Rukia, on the other hand, had an advantage of belonging to the culture. Yet, her exposure to the Western culture through education and association gave her the necessary intellectual detachment to view the Parda, particularly among the Muslims, from a different perspective. Super. Education and association gave her the necessary intellectual detachment. Super words. To view Parda, particularly among the Muslims, from a different perspective. Rokeya's critical and derogatory presentation of the Parda caused quite a stir in Bengal. Many readers not familiar with the Parda customs and deliberate manipulation of religious laws were shocked. Many conservative Muslims, on the other hand, were angry. Most Muslims, however, were embarrassed. Oh, some even resented this revelation of what had so far been private. Magazines and periodicals, especially those run by Muslims like the Muhammadi, carried angry letters. She had previously been accused by the Muslims of whipping her society and of lending credence to and being unduly influenced by the severely critical and condescending pamphlets issued by the Christian Tract Society in Madras. As one irate critic put it, to her, everything Indian is bad and everything Euro American is good. These reports and the secluded ones were too unflattering and hard to accept. The Muslims priding themselves on their contemporary liberal laws concerning the status of women had so far been condescending to the Hindus that there had been a real change in the situation and the statuses of Hindu women wrought by the socio-cultural reform movements of the 19th and early 20th centuries, and that in the 1920s, Hindu women were not as disadvantageous as they had been earlier, seem to have escaped their notice. They seemed unaware of the gap between the status de facto and the status de jure of their own women. This inability to perceive the social realities was reflected in the fact that even the scathing remarks of Catherine Mayo did not upset them, for they felt that her barbs were marked for Hindus only. Rokia, however, was saying about the same things about the Muslims. Her own unveiling of the hidden face of Mother India concerned the Muslims directly. One of a few of them tried to discredit Rokia by treating the secluded ones as fictitious. In the words of one critic, the readers would have been happy if the respected author has not presented us with these fictions and fables in the name of discrediting seclusion. Yet, within a short time, the detractors lost their battles. I don't know how. Rokea's cause was upheld by the younger educated Muslims, both male and female. Oh, we are seeing different world now in that case. Seriously. The secluded ones became a source book while Rokia became a source of inspiration. Wonderful. Note on the text says this translation is based on the text included in the Rokia's Rankanavali. Most of these original terms has been retained and consistency in transliteration is difficult as the words from more than one non-English language appear here. I have tried to use the first orthographic
Sir,
transliteration of possible. Yeah.
సార్ మీ వాయిస్ కొంచెం
What
లో
happened?
అయిపోయింది, చాలా లో అయిపోయింది సార్.
Low in the okay.
ఇప్పుడు ఓకే,
Is it okay now?
ఇప్పుడు ఎస్. అది
So
పైన రుకియా రచనావళి సార్.
రచనావళి కదా ఓకే గుడ్ గుడ్ సో ఇది విషయం ఏంటంటే ఇది అయిపోయింది సో యూ డూ వన్ థింగ్ యూ టేక్ ఇట్ ఫ్రమ్ 37 ది యాక్చువల్ థింగ్
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే ఓకే. చాప్టర్ 3, selection from the secluded ones, by Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain. Author's introduction. For a long time we have been used to seclusion. Therefore we, especially I myself, had nothing in particular to say against seclusion. If one asks a fisherwoman, does rotten fish smell good or bad to you? How would she answer that? I am presenting the reports of a few incidents to my sisters for their reviewing. I hope they would find them interesting. It is necessary to mention here that all over India, seclusion is observed not only against men but also against women. Outside one's own family. No woman, except the closest relations and housemaids, is allowed to see an unmarried girl. Sorry, sir, I didn't understand this, sir. Can you please explain, sir, this paragraph?
One second. What it says. Uh, so
All over
therefore,
India, seclusion is
chapter.
observed. Yes, sir.
Yes, it says it is necessary to mention that in all over India, seclusion
Hmm.
is observed. That is, male and female are secluded, not only against men but also
Hmm.
against women outside his own family. No woman except the closest relations and housemates are allowed to see an unmarried girl. This is the parda.
Oh, yes,
Seclusion.
yes, yes.
Parda nashin.
Got it. Got it, sir. Okay,
Hmm.
okay, sir. So, married women also hide themselves from gypsy women and such other professional itinerant performers and entertainers. Among women, whoever succeeds in hiding most in the corner like an owl, proves thereby to be the most aristocratic by breeding. Even wealthy urban women run away from the sight of English missionary women, let alone English women. Even the sight of Christian or Hindu women, though in saris but not veiled, when referring to Hindu women, would drive them to the safety of their locked bedrooms. Report 1. A long time ago, the daughters of the Zamindar of Airaband, a village in the district of Rangpur, Rokeya's natal village, were performing the ritual ablutions prior to the Zohar, which is a midday prayers. All of them were through all of them were through except Miss A, who was in the middle of the ritual. Her personal maid, Altar Ma, was pouring the water on her palms from a metal pitcher. Suddenly, a tall and stout Kabuli woman walked through the back entrance of the inner courtyard. Alas, what a stir! The water pitcher dropped from the altar ma's inert fingers. She started screaming. Alas, where did this fellow come from? The woman laughed and protested. Fellow? Which fellow are you talking about? I'm a woman. Miss A ran for her dear life and managed to reach her aunt's room. Out of breath, she tremblingly blurted out, Auntie, a woman in trousers is here. The lady of the house was startled and asked, Has she seen you? Miss A, reduced to tears, nodded yes. The other women in the meantime stopped their prayers and rushed to shut all the doors to prevent the Kabuli woman from seeing the other girls of the family. From the speed and urgency with which they locked the doors, one would have assumed that a wild tiger was loose in the courtyard. So, sir, will you explain a bit, sir? Just a bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Summary.
absolutely. See, what they're saying. See, the Parda
Sir.
Nashin women were also not allowed to see their low level people.
Yes, sir.
Right. So what happened? For example, ఇక్కడ ఏం నడుస్తుంది daughters of the Zamindar of Paryaban, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were performing ritual ablutions prior to the Zohar, that is midday prayer,
Zohar. Yes.
right? All of them were done. They're almost done, except
Hmm.
Mise, who was in the middle of the ritual. Her
Yes, yes,
personal
sir.
maid, Alterma, was pouring water on her palms from a metal pitcher.
Yeah,
Suddenly, a stout and tall Kabuli man walked through the back entrance of the inner courtyard. That is the Janana area. Alas,
yeah.
modest her. The water pitcher dropped her Alterma's inert fingers. She started screaming, Alas, where did this fellow came from? Fellow? Which fellow are you talking about? I am a woman. See? So, out of the
Yeah.
breath, she tremblingly blurted out, Auntie, a woman in trousers is here. So, she was
Yes,
wearing a
yes.
different dress, actually. She is from a different place. That is Afghanistan,
Yeah.
a Kabul area.
Kabuli. Yes, sir.
Hmm. So they are saying the other women in the meantime stopped their prayers and rushed to shut all the doors to prevent the Kabuli women from seeing the other girls of the family.
Hmm.
Now you got it?
So,
From,
yes, sir, I got it.
from a
And
different culture is also different. She is not
different.
one of
Oh,
woman only woman. That is how they say.
okay. Okay.
Vachalya says, can
So,
I get some source of that book, please? Vachalya, in the title itself, it is all written. Sultana's Dream, a Feminist Utopia, Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain is the author. So this is the source. That
so the Kabuli women are
he was
also
wearing a today's Punjabi kind of a suit bus. That is
Punjabi
what it
kind
is.
of suit. Punjabi
Mm,
suit. Right, right, sir.
exactly.
So
So that is the
even
trousers.
yeah, even those women are not supposed to see the woman
Exactly.
who are
Pardha Nashid
residing
women.
in the Parda, who are following
Mm,
Parda system.
exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir. I will continue, sir.
A woman wearing that kind of a dress is almost thought of wearing a man's dress maybe.
Masters. Which
One
means
second. Something a PDF or something. Actually, I don't have your contact details. How can I send it to you, boss? Seriously. Good, Shiksha.
okay. So any person outside of the Parda system is not supposed to look at, look at the women who are inside the Parda system. That's what this report one says. That's what happened in that very courtyard. Okay, sir. Report 7. I don't know what happened to all other reports, but here it is mentioned, report 7. 25 years ago, so what report 7 says is 25 years ago, a wedding was being solemnized in a Bengali zamindar's house. The house was full of guests. It was very late. Everyone in the house was sleeping except for a few burglars who planned to rob the house. One of the burglars entered the house by digging a tunnel through the mud wall of one room. One of the night guards suspected something amiss and woke the head of the house. The zamindar and 5 of his brothers armed themselves quietly and started to look for the burglar. They were all upset and angry at the audacity of this burglar. The thief, in the meantime, had entered one of the big bedrooms where several guests were sleeping. As soon as they saw a stranger entering the room, the women dived deep under the bedclothes and held their breath. The thief broke the wall safe and took everything he wanted. When he approached one Begum and asked for her jewelry, the rest of them hurriedly started taking out their jewelry to offer it quietly to the thief. The thief, noticing this, decided to wait patiently till this was accomplished. Unfortunately, there was a new bride in the group who, though able to take off her huge nose ring, was unable to take off her heavy earrings, all entangled in her hair. The thief After a polite wait, became impatient. He took out his sharp knife and, after severing the ears of the bride, beat a hasty retreat. So, uh, sir, can I explain one or two bits to the audience, sir, with your permission?
Yeah, good. Please feel free.
Yeah. So there is guys, there is a wedding going on in a Bengali Zamindar's house. Everyone and the house was full of guests, and a thief entered uh, the house by digging through a mud wall, and he emptied a safe, and all the women where all the women were sleeping. He went there and demanded their jewelry to be taken off and given to him, and every other lady was doing so. And there was also the young bride who was supposed to take off all the jewelry, and she was doing as the thief wanted. But her earrings are entangled to her hair. I mean, stuck. The hair was stuck to her earrings, and she was unable to take off those earrings. So what the thief did was cut off her ears, probably earlobes, and took them away. Yeah, that's what that happened. So while all these things were taking place inside this room, the men of the house, armed to the teeth, were looking about for the thief. And so the men were armed and were ready for the thief. And let's see what happens. The women did the women did hear them moving around, but none made a sound, because then this thief, not of the permitted category, would hear her voice. As soon as he was out of the room, they started screaming, "My dear sisters, this is how we honor our Parda customs." Okay, so what happened was, even though there were so many of the women in the particular room and there was only one thief, still they did not rebel against him, because they might expose themselves to the thief. So that was that kind of fear that got instilled in them, and instead of rebelling against the thief, they just quietly handed over all the jewelry that they had that they wore to the thief. So that Farda system was that strict, and probably they were so accustomed to it, and they screamed only after the thief left the room. So they say that that was how they honored their Parda customs. Then report 8 says, once a house caught fire. The mistress of the house had the presence of mind to collect her jewelry. The mistress of the house had the presence of mind to collect her jewelry in a handbag and hurry out of the bedroom. But at the door, she found the courtyard full of strangers fighting the fire. She could not come out in front of them, so she went she went back to her bedroom with the bag and hid under her bed. She burned to death, but did not come out. Long live Parda. So guys, I think it is very easy to understand. So when even report 8 says, even though her house was on fire, She collected all the important jewelries and valuable items in a bag, and she was about to escape from the burning house. When she came out, there were many strangers who were trying to put out the fire. And on seeing them, she recollected in mind that she was not supposed to expose herself to the strangers. So she got afraid, and she got inside the house, and she hid herself under the bed, and the fire consumed her, leaving her to ashes. That was that. And report 11. I went to Ara, a small town in Behar, in 1926. Two of my granddaughters, actually the daughters of my stepdaughter, were getting married. I went to attend their weddings. I went to attend their weddings. The pet names of the two girls were Mangu and Sabu. At that time, they were confined in the Maya Khana. In Calcutta, the bride to be usually stays only 4 or 5 days in such confinement. But in Behar, the girls are kept in such solitary confinement for 6 or 7 months. I could not stay in Mangu's cell for long. I felt suffocated in that closed room. I opened the window, but within a couple of minutes, a haughty Begum walked over and closed the window, remarking curtly, "The bride is in the draught." I had to leave the room. I failed to stay in Sabu's cell even for a minute. Those poor girls at the time had already stayed in those rooms for 6 months. Ultimately, Sabu had a spell of acute hysteria. This is how they are trained to endure seclusion. Uh, so in Ara, a small town in Behar, I think it is probably Bihar, maybe. So these bride to be, there was a custom where these brides to be are supposed to be confined uh, in their containments, in their rooms for about 6 to 7 months, and it is suffocating as hell. And no one is supposed to stay with them for not much time. So that's that. And report 14 next. Report 14 says the following incident happened about 22 years ago. An aunt, twice removed of my husband, was going to Patna from Bhagalpur. Twice removed of my husband. She was accompanied by her maid only. At Kiul railway junction, they had to change trains. While boarding the train, my aunt-in-law stumbled against her voluminous burqa and fell on the railway track. Except her maid, there was no woman at the station. The railway porters rushed to up, help her up, but the maid immediately stopped them by imploring in God's name not to touch her mistress. She tried to drag her mistress up by herself, but was unable to do so. The train waited for only half an hour, but no more. The Begum's body was smashed. her burqa torn. A whole station full of men witnessed this horrible accident, yet none of them was permitted to assist her. Finally, her mangled body was taken to a luggage shed. Her maid wailed piteously. After 11 hours of unspeakable agony, she died. What a gruesome way to die. So, there was a woman. She was about to change the trains. The woman in this paragraph is a relative of Rokeya, I think so. So this woman was on a journey and she had to change trains in the middle, and this woman got stumbled and fell on the railway track. So there was no woman in that station at that particular time. Uh, there were only men were present there. When all the men came to her rescue and tried to help her, her maid stopped all of them and told them not to touch her in the name of her god. So she stopped everybody to help her, and she tried to drag her, but the train got uh, and the train uh, hit her, and her body was smashed. And after that horrible accident, she was taken to a luggage shed, and after 11 hours, she died only because of that parda system. That's what this report says. And report 17 says, about 14 years ago, we had a teacher from Lucknow, capital of old Awadh, an important city in modern Uttar Pradesh, India, in our school. We had a teacher from Lucknow in our school. Her name was Akhtar Jahan. At that time, her 3 daughters were studying in our school. One day, she was commenting on the immodesty of modern schools, laying a regretful emphasis on the shameless conduct of her own daughters. One day, she was commenting on the immodesty of modern girls, laying regretful emphasis on the shameless conduct of her own daughters. Then she started to talk about her own youth and remembered an extraordinary thing that had happened shortly after her marriage. She related that she was married when she was only 11. When she went to her father-in-law's house, uh, a corner room was allotted to her. It was rather lonely and farther away from the rest of the house. A younger sister of her husband would come to her room 3 or 4 times in a day to look after her needs, especially to accompany her to the toilet. One day, for some reason, the sister-in-law did not come for a long time. The poor bride needed to go to the toilet badly, but could not. A new bride does not wander about the house by herself. It is deemed highly improper. Now the brides of Lucknow used to get pan dance, betel leaf containers, pan dance from their parents as part of their dowry and bride gift. One of her huge containers was in her bedroom. She emptied the container of all the betel nuts and spices She tied all these in a handkerchief. What she then filled the container with is not fit to be written about. In the evening, when a maid from her father's house came to prepare the bed, the bride tearfully told the maid how she had abused the container. The maid took it from under the bed and consoled her. Please don't take on so. I'll see to it that this is tinned again. Let the betel nuts stay in the handkerchief for now. So, parents, the report 17. Sir, any words, sir?
Yeah, words of wisdom. The man Vishwagaru already వచ్చేసారు కాబట్టి we'll hear it from him. Sir, నమస్కారం.
హలో శిక్షార్థిన్ గారు, హలో లాయర్ గారు.
Hello, sir, Vishwa, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
my words of wisdom on the Parda Nashin woman, sir. So far as you have heard in these stories, then we can go ahead.
What can I say? I mean, there is one side of me that wants to see the comedy in this. There is another side of me that thinks of the travesty that has been perpetrated on the Indian women. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. All
So
this.
this is the Indian Muslim woman we are talking about, I believe.
Correct. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
And the
So, no,
Indian
she
Hindu.
said Indian women.
She said Indian women. How come this
Yeah.
Muslim culture is Indian? I don't know. Never
I have
heard
no
about
idea. We should ask our single month ladies how it is. They'll tell.
Exactly. They are the right people to ask.
Car market gang.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's from Calcutta, so I can imagine that it was pretty hardcore there.
She says she's from the present day Bangladesh.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
she moved to Calcutta.
Right. Yeah, right now, tying it back to the current situation, the latest news is this fellow Yunus has escaped to Dubai.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
really, sir?
He's not in Bangladesh anymore.
Seriously.
Wonderful. What a news, sir.
Yeah, exactly. So there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Sir, actually, yesterday about the Modi-Trump meet, Trump gave a statement about Bangladesh that PM Modi will take care of Bangladesh situation. That was his statement.
Yeah, exactly.
And after
he said our
this,
deep state is not involved, and then he'll take care of it.
yeah, and after this, Given is escaping from Bangladesh, somehow I'm feeling very related and funny. I don't know, sir. Maybe or may not be.
And leave the Bangladesh, we can discuss it in Rachabanda.
Yeah. Sorry, sir. No, sir. I felt a carry. I mean,
That's okay.
Whatever. It's okay. So next is report 18. Report 18 goes, a doctor from Lahore has thus described his experience of Parda. Whenever he went to visit a patient in a Parda house, he would find two maid servants holding a thick blanket in front of the bed. He would put his hand below the blanket and extend it to the other side of the blanket. The patient would then put her wrist in his hand to enable him to take her pulse. A certain non-Parda lady asked me once, if there was no woman doctor available, how would you let a male doctor examine your tongue? You could not possibly make a hole in the blanket and protrude your tongue through that hole. I'm presenting this question to my sisters with one of my own in the hope of finding an answer. How would they let doctors examine their eyes, teeth,
What a
and
wise question.
ears?
Very wise indeed.
Exactly, sir. So then the doctor told me a certain Begum was down with pneumonia. I said, I said the condition of the lungs will have to be examined. I could examine it from the back. The Nawab, head of the family, asked the maid to put the stethoscope wherever necessary. Of course, it is common knowledge that the stethoscope has to be shifted in various positions before any diagnosis is possible. Yet I had to comply with the Nawab's commands. The maid took the end of the stethoscope inside the blanket and put it in place. After a few minutes, I was getting really worried at not hearing any sound. For once, I decided to be audacious and lifted the corner of the blanket nearest me. To my consternation and disgust, I found the stethoscope resting on the Begum's waist. I was so irritated that I left the room immediately. The Nawab Sahib had the gall to ask me what I made of the case. What the dash did he expect me to be? Did he expect me to be omniscient? So that ends the report. Report 18. So that was it, sir. The,
So what happened to report 19, 20, 21? It jumped to 23.
Yeah,
yeah,
they were
sir.
not
So many.
important. See, these are excerpts from the original book.
From the original
So,
book. Okay, okay. The
so
juicy
whatever is
pieces.
relevant and the juicy
Okay.
pieces have
So
been
this is the
transcribed.
medium from the book.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Narrative.
right, sir.
Right on that. Seriously.
These are the prime cuts. All right. Please
I
continue, sir.
think
Please
there
continue.
are, yes, sir. There are 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 6 more
Yeah, yeah.
reports.
Good, good.
So, okay, sir. Yeah, carrying on. Report to 23. Report 23 goes, let us leave the experiences of other people. Let me share with you some of my own experience of Parda. Ever since I turned 5, I have had to hide myself from women even. I could not understand the rationale behind it. Yet I had to disappear as soon as strangers approached. Men naturally were not allowed in the inner apartments. Therefore, I did not suffer from them. But women were permitted to roam around the inner apartments quite freely, and I had to hide from them. The village women dropped in for sudden visits. Somebody would make a sign, and I had to find the nearest hiding place, the kitchen, inside the rolled mats of the maids, under the beds even. I had to run for a hiding place just like little chicks who run to their mother whenever the hen flashes a sign warning them of approaching kites or hawks. But there was a difference. The little chicks had a foreordained place, their mother's wings, where they could hide. But I had no such naturally determined safe hiding place. Moreover, the chicks instinctively recognize the danger signals sent by the mother hen. I, alas, had no such instinctive understanding. Therefore, at times I would fail to interpret signals correctly and be slow in hiding. At such times, the well-wishing female elders of the family never hesitated to berate the shameless and immodest conduct of modern hussies like me. When I was 5, we stayed in Calcutta for a while. Once, the aunt of my second sister-in-law, wife of second older brother, sent two maidservants to visit with her. They had a free pass to wander the length of the house, and I had to run like a deer fleeing the hunters in all sorts of hiding places, behind doors and under tables. The usual the usual hiding place was the attic on the third floor, which was seldom frequented by the family. My ayah would carry me there in the morning, and I would stay there the whole day. When the two maids finished surveying the rest of the house, they decided to look at the attic. My nephew, older sister's son, Halu, who was also 5, ran to warn me of the impending catastrophe. Fortunately for me, the room had an old four-poster. I crawled under it, hardly daring to breathe, lest those heartless women hear the sound and look under the bed. There were a few empty boxes and old stools stored in the room. Poor Halu summoned all the strength of his 5-year-old body and managed to drag a few of them near me. We arranged them around me to afford better cover. No one except Halu came to ask me whether I needed anything. He would bring me some snacks or a glass of water when asked to do so. Sometimes, though, he would go down to fetch something and would not come back for a long time. He was only a boy of 5, after all, and easily got involved in games. I had to stay in this miserable plight for 4 days. So that ends that report, sir. Any comments or should I continue, sir?
Yeah, no comments. What is there to comment on? I mean, the funny part
Yeah.
is, why would she have to hide from women? Not required typically, but I guess they took it
Yes,
to the
sir.
extreme.
Yeah, sir. Actually, even the women of other cultures, or even in the same Muslim community, also there might be other sects
That
of
this is
women.
the thing
They should
called,
hide from those people also.
no, no. They hide from the other non-Pardhanashin women also
Yeah. Yes, sir.
at times. Hmm.
So that's it, sir. Next, report 25.
I think this is the last
Uh,
chapter.
Yeah, let's start with this one.
yeah. Okay, sir. In
No, you have
the
37, you have got 38, 47, you have
yeah,
got
there
3
are
or it's better to stop. Or there's another 4 pages would you like to read it? How do you do?
sir. Is you tell me, sir.
Sir,
If I
25,
have to
26,
read, I
we'll
will read,
stop.
sir.
Let's read this one and stop.
There are another 2, 3, sir. Oh, I'll do one thing.
Hmm.
You read this 25, I'll read the other 2 and we can close with it.
No,
So
no,
this
no,
chapter,
sir. I will continue, sir. I will end this, sir. The next.
very good. About another 3
Yeah.
pages. 3 or 4.
Yeah, no problem, sir. I can continue. Yeah.
Okay.
So report 25 goes, in the 11th report of this book, I mentioned that I went to Ara in 1924 to attend the wedding of my granddaughters. But while there, I saw nothing of the town. I saw nothing of the town except the house and the sky above. When I talked to my daughter, actually she was the girl whom my stepson-in-law married after the death of his first wife, my stepdaughter. So when I talked to my daughter, she pleaded with me thus, please, mother, would you ask your son-in-law to show you the town? Then we would also be able to see a little of this place. I have been living here for the last 7 years, but I have seen nothing. The newly wedded girls, Mangu and Sabu, also chorused earnestly. Yes, oh yes, please, Granny, if you would only ask my father. I asked my son-in-law to hire a coach for us so that we might ride around the town. For several days, he politely informed me that he had not been able to find a suitable carriage for us. Finally, one afternoon, his son, a boy of 11, ran in to inform us that a hired carriage had arrived, but a slat in the window was broken. Mangu implored, oh, please don't let them send this away. We could cover that window carefully, couldn't we? Sabu whispered, oh, good. We would be able to see better through that hole in the window. We were ready, but whenever we asked about coming out, when but whenever we asked about coming out, we were advised to wait. The carriage was not captained properly. When we finally came out, I found, Allah be praised, that the carriage had been completely covered by three heavy Bombay silk saris. The door of the carriage was opened and closed by my son-in-law, who tied the sari ends securely with his own hands. After a while, Mangu taunted Sabu, well, where is that hole through which we were going to see the things so well? After a while, the girls did discover a tiny tear in the sari cover. Mangu, Sabu, and their stepmother eagerly took turns peering through that little tear, little tear. I just could not bring myself to compete with them. So that's report number 25. Then report 29. Report 29 says, I attended a ladies' conference held in Aligarh. Many of the delegates had various types of burqa on. One had a strange burqa on. I mentioned this and she immediately said, oh no, don't talk about burqa. I had such horrid experiences. She related a few of those experiences. Once, she went to attend a wedding ceremony in a Bengali Hindu family. As soon as the children saw her coming in a burqa, they started screaming in fright and began to hide. Her husband has some other Bengali Hindu friends. She was obliged to pay at least one visit to each of them. But she created panic in every house. The children started trembling and screaming at the sight of burqa. Once she came to Calcutta. In the evening, she and her companions, all burqa clad, went out in an open top car. The children along the way started shouting, oh my God, what are those? One of them screamed, quiet everybody, I am sure they are ghosts. When the front part of their burqa moved in the breeze, someone said, hey look, the ghosts are moving their trunks like elephants. Run, run, they are after us. Once she went to Darjeeling. At Groom Station, a crowd was observing a midget. He was only as tall as a boy of 7 or 8, but he had the face of an adult, with a full beard and all. Suddenly she found that the curious eyes of the crowd were turned upon her. They were not amused by the midget anymore. Her burqa was infinitely more entertaining. When they reached Darjeeling, they decided to go out after dinner. They took a rickshaw to the mall. The mall was crowded. People were watching the soldiers returning from Tibet that afternoon. A rickshaw bearer parked the rickshaw on a side and joined the crowd. After a while, she found the pedestrians taking a look inside her rickshaw. Whenever she went for a walk, the dogs started howling and followed her. A horse or two reared when she confronted with her. A horse or two reared when confronted with her. Once, while she was visiting a tea garden, a little Gurkha girl raised a pebble to hit her. Once, she was walking with 4 or 5 other burqa-clad women. While walking near a little stream, all of them stumbled in the pebbles and mud and fell down. The workers in the tea garden nearby ran and rescued them. One of them chuckled and said affectionately, "Look at you, you have shoes on and that sack. Of course you had fallen in the stream. What else? What else can you expect?" Alas, the embroidered veils of the Begums were soiled. Their burqas were soaked. On top of all this, whenever they walked, they would hear mothers trying to hush their crying babies, pointing on them and saying, "Hush, child, hush. Look, those are Mecca and Medina. See, those hooded witches. They are Mecca and Medina." So that's that report. There ends that report. And the report 37 says, a train was coming from the western provinces of India to Calcutta. In the station of Bali, 3 burqa-clad women boarded the female compartment. There were a lot of Muslim women in that compartment. They thought it they thought they thought they thought it curious that even after the train left the station, these 3 women did not raise their naqab, the detachable front part of the burqa covering the face. Suddenly, they became rather suspicious. Also, the height of these newcomers was rather awe-inspiring. After they had prayed silently for a few moments, the train stopped at Lilua station. A woman ticket collector got into their compartment. Immediately, one woman complained about those 3 women. Before the ticket collector could advance toward them, the one next to the door on the opposite platform jumped down and ran away. The ticket collector shouted, "Police, police," and caught hold of one. When the naqab was raised, a face full of mustache and beard was revealed. The ticket collector, stunned, would only mutter, "What? Beard and mustache in a burqa?" So that's that report. It was just, it seems more like a funny incident. Then report 38. A certain lady doctor, Miss Sharat Kumari Mitra, a Hindu, whom I know rather well, was telling me the other day, if you only knew the trouble some of you Muslim women cause me. Even the smallest timely assistance is out of the question. No matter what it is, a clean bandage or hot water, one has to wait so long for it. Once a servant from a distant village came to ask her to go and see the younger Begum of the house. She had a severe toothache. The servant informed the doctor. The doctor took the medicine and instruments necessary for extraction of teeth. After she reached there, she found that the younger Begum was actually suffering labor pain, not toothache. What was the doctor to do? She was now in Jamgaon, which is 8 miles away from Bhagalpur, where she lived. She could not possibly take the same pair of horses back to Bhagalpur because the pair was already exhausted. But Jamgaon was like a village. Horse-drawn carriages or palanquins were rarely to be found. Somehow she managed to get back to Bhagalpur and procure the medicines and instruments necessary for delivering a child. By the time she returned to Jamgaon, the poor patient was in a critical condition. When Dr. Mitra asked for an explanation from the mistress of the house as to why she was so misinformed about the problem, the senior Begum answered, I had to send a man to you. What could I talk about but toothache? How could I have told a man about the real situation? Wouldn't, wouldn't that have been too embarrassing for both of us? What sort of a lady doctor are you if you don't have the sense to realize that? So that's the report. So this lady is accusing doctor for not understanding that toothache means labor pain.
Exactly.
Then report 47. In the words of a poet, not fiction, not poetry, this is life. No theater this, but my real house. Only 3 years ago, we had our school bus. The day before the bus came, one of our teachers, an English woman, had gone to the auto depot to inspect the bus. Her comment was, this bus is horribly dark inside. Oh no, I'll never ride that bus. When the bus arrived, it was found that there was a narrow lattice on top of the back door and the front door. Excepting these two pieces of lattice were 3 inches wide and 18 inches long, the bus could be called completely airtight. The bus took the girls to their homes that first afternoon. The maid accompanying the girls reported after she came back that it was terribly hot inside the bus. The girls were very uncomfortable. Some of them vomited. Some of the little girls were whimpering in the dark. Before the bus went to fetch the girls on the next day, the English woman who taught in our school opened the shutter of the back door. She hung colored curtains on the open shutters. Even then, it was found that a few of the girls fainted away, a few of them vomited on the way, and most of them had headaches, etc. In the afternoon, the aforementioned teacher opened the shutters on the side of the bus and hung the curtains there also. That evening, a Hindu friend, Mrs. Mukherjee, came to see me. She was glad to know about the progress of the school was making. Suddenly she said, incidentally, what a fine bus you have. The first time I saw it, I thought a huge chest was being drawn on wheels. My nephew ran out and said, oh, auntie, look, the moving black pole of Calcutta is passing by. Really? How can the girls possibly how can the girls possibly ride that bus? That's what Mrs. Mukherjee asked her. On the afternoon of the third day, several of the mothers came to complain. They said, Your bus is certainly God's punishment. You are burying the girls alive, I said helplessly. What can I do? If the bus was not such, you would have been you would have been the ones to criticize the bus as pardaless. They said angrily, what? Do you want to maintain parda at the expense of our children's lives? We are not going to send our daughters to your school anymore. That evening, the maid reported that every guardian complained about the bus and warned that the girls would not ride this sort of bus. The next evening, I had 4 letters. The writer of the letter, written in English, had signed himself, Brother in Islam. The other 3 were in Urdu. 2 of these letters were anonymous. The third one had 5 signatures. The import of all 4 letters was the same. All of them were from well-wishers. For the continuing welfare of my school, they were informing me that the 2 curtains hanging by the side of the bus moved in the breeze and made the bus pardaless. If something better was not arranged by tomorrow, they would be compelled, for the benefit of the school, to write in the various Urdu newspapers about this pardalessness and would stop the girls from riding in such a pardaless bus. What a dilemma I was in. If I don't catch the cobra, the king will have my head. If caught carelessly, surely the cobra would bite me. I do not think anyone else had tried to catch such a cobra to satisfy the whims of such a king. On behalf of the women imprisoned in seclusion, I wish to say, oh, I wish to say, oh, why did I come to this miserable world? Why was I born in a Parda country? So there ends all the reports.
Wonderful. Wonderful,
Yeah, sir.
wonderful. Welcome, SK Garu,
Yes, sir.
Tiger Garu.
Stay garu,
నమస్కారం
Tiger
అండి
garu.
అందరికి నమస్కారం
Hello.
Hello to everyone.
You know Telugu? Somebody speaking in Telugu?
Yes, sir.
హౌ షాట్
What is this, sir?
must be
Telugu very
This
this
is an English only session.
yeah. I think these guys are local, sir. Local people.
Locals in an international location. Huh?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So should we
SK
speak
Garu,
in
you
English or
there?
Telugu in this particular channel?
Better to speak in English, it will improve my English. If you can.
ఇంగ్లీష్ ఇంగ్లీష్
Then, then,
Hello,
then,
what's
then
Yeah,
I
my
will.
English will be
Hi,
improved.
hi everyone. Hi,
I know.
bros, sisters, teachers.
There is only one sister.
Yeah, we can. Sorry, alas,
Alas. Alas.
yeah, alas.
Correct.
I thought she might stay for. I mean, that woman, sir. My question, you got it now. My butler English, you have to suffer for some time. The name is Tabu or Sabu or what? Tell character name.
Sabu,
Sabu.
one
Okay.
of our granddaughters.
Okay. My English is thoda achi is very little better, but I can't understand
That
the
is okay,
names.
Rachel. You
It's okay.
have
The
been
idea is to
hearing.
continue to push yourself to understand.
I'll better not.
Rachel,
I'll better not give the questions in between, sir. Basically,
See,
because
it's not
that
about
is
the
okay.
language; it's about the concept.
yeah, please get sir. Yeah,
Rachel, you have been hearing this session since the start today.
yeah, yeah.
So,
No, sir.
so what are
I
your
heard
thoughts?
the previous episodes also actually.
Also wonderful. So, what are your
Cool.
thoughts?
I had a mixed reaction. Why she got up to the attic and she was waiting for something or afraid of something. Like you got the question right. She climbed the
Mhm.
attic while she would like to she would like to get protected, or she was protecting herself from some other woman.
She was protecting herself, na? That is the idea of the
Exactly.
parda.
Okay. Basically, this is the story is entirely dependent on the burqa system or something, sir. Should I
No,
mention
it
this
is the
name?
Parda.
entire lifestyle
Parda,
of
parda, parda.
yeah.
Okay, parda.
The whole book is about the entire lifestyle of Muslim women
Par-
and during the
Okay.
independence era, basically. Right?
Okay.
I
Should be
think
like,
it's
or
not just
she should
Muslim
be like.
women because Sultana she talks about
Indian,
Hindu women
Indian
particu-
also.
context.
no, no, no,
It
no.
is
No,
Indian women,
particularly
they say.
about the Parda system of
Okay.
Indian Muslim women.
Correct.
Mhm, mhm.
I
See,
think in the
even
last episode she was saying Zanana is applicable for Hindus also, right?
no, no. It used to be different. So the parda was there even for Rajputs and all that, but not this type of parda. This is too much.
Vishwaji, I just had one confused question for my life, sir. Actually,
Mm.
will Muslim women wear jeans inside the burqa or not?
Yeah, they do.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
So as Sikshadi was reading this, narrating this story, she wore trousers, and someone got misleaded that she is a guy, right? At a point.
No, 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 no. No, no,
No,
Vatsala.
this is
What happened there
pre-independence.
was,
This is like 1905 is it, or 1910, or so women wearing trousers out of
uh,
question.
Okay. Okay.
no,
Okay.
Vatsala, what happened there was, there
Mm-hmm.
was a midday prayer, and all the women were preparing for the prayer. And
Okay.
a girl was getting ready to
Mm-hmm.
attend the prayer, and she was washing her hands. And then a
Mm-hmm.
woman in trouser enters that particular quarters. And that
Okay.
woman was not a Westerner, she was a Kabuli woman.
Got it.
Kabul, in the sense, Afghanistani woman. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she was also a Muslim, but belonging to some other sect in the Islam.
Okay. Like the different SS from
Patans,
there.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So, yeah, Pardales. She was Pardales.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
she
yeah.
belongs to a community where burqa or parda is not mandatory. So,
Mm-hmm.
when this
See,
woman in
burqa, there is a
trousers,
difference between burqa and parda.
yeah,
Okay.
yes,
See,
So
burqa, all
is it
Muslim
like
women
hijab or
wear it.
something?
Yeah, burqa
no,
is like the
hijab is
full
different,
Shabi
niqab is
Pak burqa.
different.
Yeah, niqab is different, parda is different, hijab is
Hijab
different.
is different.
Yeah,
Got it. So people from this particular community has different sort of styles for their particular
yeah,
sects or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So anyway, this is all like imported
Stuff.
junk.
Got it. Yeah. But I
Sir,
got
I don't think it is
at the
imported,
point I
sir.
got a bit confused over there. The
Yes, sir.
trousers.
Sir,
Mm,
yeah, that's what Vasala was telling you,
Yeah, I got the clarification. That's right.
right? Yes. Sir, sir, Vishwa, sir, it was not an imported uh, system. It is an imposed system.
imported and imposed.
Sir, who imported, sir? Nobody imported. It was just imposed,
Right,
Okay,
forcibly,
let us consider it migrated.
forcibly imposed.
right.
No, not migrated, forcibly imposed. You should be very particular about the terms you use, man.
So unfortunately, like people are talking about the culture of Muslims. What?
Yeah.
Oh, the whole book is about that one, you know.
The whole book
Yeah,
is Sultana's book, right?
Sultana. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rokeya,
So she's the
Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain.
yeah, exactly.
For the first day of the first episodes, my question was, "Banwar Singh Shekhawat का बहन है क्या?"
This is Sultana's dream.
Yeah, got it.
So yeah.
So, Charles, please do comment on this session about
Me,
the book. Yeah, all of you, all of us.
Tiger has
All
not
of you.
commented.
Yeah, Tiger sir, please
I don't have
give us
any
your
opinion on
valuable.
this.
Mhm. Come again. Sir.
Yeah, I don't have any opinion on from my side.
Don't
Wonderful.
have what?
Straight away said he doesn't have an opinion. What more can you ask?
He had a deliberate answer for his.
Deliberate or not, that is the answer. You cannot say anything else. Sir.
Maybe contemporary answer for some time.
I think Mr. Tiger is trying to avoid the foreign waters.
Hmm.
Pichardi garu,
Don't
I'll
want
just
to.
let you
We
give
have
one
Yeah.
to be
story
diplomatic.
where my Tiger garu will definitely maintain patience and listen the entire story. The story
Yeah.
name is Sherlock Holmes. You better start reading Sherlock Holmes.
Vishwar says Sultana ki jai ho. Jai ho something. Okay. So shall we close it shortly?
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sir. I want to say one or two things. Just
Yeah, go ahead.
yes, sir. I felt bad when I read that reporting that report concerning the bus. I felt very bad. The conditions that prevailed in the Parda system up to, I mean, I can imagine how horrible it might be to those women. And just reading is reading and imagining is one thing, and staying in that system and experiencing that system is a whole another level, sir.
True.
And
I watch a
also,
very
yeah, that report, and also another report where that girl asks the author to get out of the house and see the town. Even after 7 years of staying in that very same town, he has not seen the town even once. So I could imagine the horrible conditions
But one thing, sir,
they had to live in.
from today's narration, Pichardi garu, she
Yeah.
was afraid of some other woman and she was trying to hide in the attic. So that was very devastating for
It's
her
not.
particular time. I
No,
hope.
it's not that's what the kind of fear that
The
they
scenarios are
instill.
different at particular time. I hope so, right?
See, that's the fear that they instill into children, especially girl children, since childhood, since their very childhood. See, at the age of 5, she's afraid of.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. I can hear some music. Does you people also started listening that music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
Because I thought I was hallucinating the music. Actually, sorry.
so that's where I felt bad, and many other situations also where they slipped into mud and all, where the children called them ghosts and all over, where mothers of little children showed these burqa-clad women and called them ghosts. And all of those situations. I mean, what can they do? They are born into that sort of things.
Correct. So as
Yeah,
of now,
so,
I just wanted to give one statement like today's session
yeah,
about today's
yeah,
session. So the narration was very pretty and good, sir, actually. But at a point, I started confusing that, okay, the names got confused and your voice was very, what do you call it? Very clumsy and it's very loud at particular points. I request you, if you
okay.
start narrating tomorrow the story, please maintain the voice very quiet and, sorry, like maintaining the pace for us. It might be easy to us for us.
My narration,
No, your narration is very good. The thing which
okay,
gives a question to me, like, or confusing me, is the frequency of your voice changes from point to point at a like a disturbance, basically.
is, I mean, what you are saying, is it technical or my
Maybe
very
technical,
own
maybe
voice
technical.
is,
No, no, no. Your voice is good.
how about
Everything is
now?
fine.
How about, hmm,
Yeah, it's bit loud actually.
now it is louder?
Yeah, it's loud. It's loud and bit, but I mean, it's bit unclear also. Like I can hear the resound of your voice at the point actually.
Even now?
Yeah, it's good right now.
Okay,
Oh,
okay. Let's
Yeah,
think about the
yeah,
yeah,
session.
yes,
and we have to go ahead.
I'll try to.
So
Yeah, okay,
let's
sir.
go.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. So,
Thank you, all the
yeah,
audience.
yeah, audience and viewers, thank you for tuning into this channel. If you like this video, just give a thumbs up in the form of a like and do share and comment, and do let everyone and your acquaintances ask them to subscribe to this channel and stay tuned.